Hey Manoj, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Mukund. How are you? How's everyone?
It's good. It's good. We were supposed to record on Friday, but sorry, I had to fly out to
Okay.
DC. The flight got canceled. Anyway, long story short, I'm glad we are doing it today.
Right.
Uh, it was an interesting week overall. Uh,
Very interesting, to be honest.
I bought some more Netflix after the downturn.
Oh,
After
really?
I bought a little bit more, but I've been holding it for 7 years. So, no,
Okay.
not 7 years.
So you're long-term bullish on Netflix, is it?
Sorry.
You're now long-term bullish on Netflix?
Long-term bullish on Netflix for a long time. Tesla, I added to that as well. I've
Right.
had for such a long time that the cost basis is minimal, but I think they're good stocks for the longer term. So
True.
this pullback was good. 10% pullback was good. But okay,
Definitely.
so let's go into first really quickly what happened last week in terms of just stocks we had mentioned. Netflix, Tesla, Rio, Roblox, and Unity. Unity and Neo did okay, 0.35% gain, but Tesla went down close to about, well, the overall for the week, Tesla was down a little bit, but that was because they were up quite a bit the previous week, right? So if you look at it overall, they're only down 8%, but they were down just for last week, they were down 8%. Overall, it's been down quite a bit.
Right.
So Netflix and Tesla were the big ones that we talked about last week at least and said, okay, take a look at these stocks. It was interesting. Overall, the week was interesting to me. I didn't quite follow a lot of the other meme stocks that were going, but these were the two interesting plays for us.
Right.
So let's just quickly go through SPY, QQQ, and IWM. IWM looks interesting to me, but
Certainly. If
SPY and QQQ probably corrected a little
if
bit.
you would just enable screen sharing, I would be able to share my
Yeah.
screen and share the charts.
I always forget this. I don't know why. You should
Yeah.
remind me every time we get started.
Right. Okay, let me start with SPY first.
Okay, we're starting with.
No, we'll start with SPY because that's easy for me
Okay.
also. Let me start with 4-hour chart first, and then I'll move to the daily. So on the 4-hour chart, if you look closely, it has actually reversed exactly from the upper end of this channel, which has been going on for last more than 2 months now, right?
Yeah.
It has rejected
Four-hour chart.
exactly the upper end of the channel, and then it has also given a 4-hour daily as 4-hour 20 SMA, and on its way to 4-hour 50 SMA. Normally, whenever I look for such reversal, I look for many things, and it cannot be just one thing which will help us. Look for the clues that markets are reversing or whether they want to change direction for short term or long term. So as of now, it tells me that definitely based on the 4-hour charts, at least 4-hour 50 SMA, which is at what 4 5 4 5 4 5, and then if you look at the daily, as I've been telling time and again, the more sharper the 20 m and the more the gap between 20 and 50 SMA, the higher the chances of we correcting towards 20 and the 50 SMA.
Hmm.
In this particular bull run, markets have tested 20 SMA at least 6 to 7 times, and I would guess that it's time for markets to at least try and test the 50 SMA. So somewhere around this area is what I would assume that it should come around 4350. But again, it won't be a straight line. So probably somewhere around 20 and then bounce and then again trying to test the 50 SMA. So it won't be 4350, somewhere around maybe 44, 4375, 4380, which is like kind of a double bottom on the daily basis. And that's when you can think of markets would, and that is where actually it might coincide with the 50 SMA, sorry, 4-hour chart channel as well. On the 4-hour, this is where it probably would looks like 4360, 4370. So I would say
Manoj, before we
on
go,
the next few days, probably we are heading toward the 4380, 4370 kind of level. But again, let's take it one step at a time. First, I would aim for 4350. And after that, I'll aim for 20 SMA on the daily. And 20 SMA on the daily is sitting right now at what? 4490. So 4350, then 4490, and then we will look after that what happens. So this is what I look for.
Manoj,
Yep.
explain the psychology behind the stocks testing the 20 MA and 50 MA. Why is it that we've been mentioning that quite a bit,
Right.
but why do the stocks go and come back to this average 20-day
So
moving,
in
50-day moving?
in market parlance, it is called as mean reversion. Why do we call it as mean reversion? So if you, I don't know if you ever watched. Give me 1 second if I can move this thing. Okay, yeah. Not many people follow Bollinger Bands, but if you follow Bollinger Bands, and this is what it will give you. Oh, you see these two lines? More likely than not, Bollinger Bands have 20 SMA as their daily as the mean area of the band. So the higher the sharper the 20 SMA, it would keep coming back to the mean and then bounce, keep coming back to the mean and then bounce. After those 6 to 8 times, so sometimes even it would test it 10 times, and then if it is a longer term bull market, more likely it will revert from the 20 SMAs and then keep rallying up. Chances are it will come back to the 50 SMA as well. Some people, whoever trade based on the Bollinger Bands, they would also change it to 50 SMA and not 20 SMA. So I'll say let me change it to 50, and everything changes. Now my mean is 50 and not 20. So if you look at the gap, middle line of this Bollinger Bands is 50 and not 20. So more likely than not, why is it so that people actually follow Bollinger Bands, and markets actually come back to 20 SMA and the 50 SMA? It is the smoothness of this particular. So last 20 days markets have been going up, or last 5 days markets have been going up, or last 8 days markets have been going up. It has to come back to test its previous smoothened line. So this is a smoothened line. This is what it is, 20 SMA, which I normally track. I do not go for 5 and 8 because these are very short term. 20 is a little longer term in terms of the markets. If markets have been going up for so many days, it has to come back. So this 20 SMA smooths out the curve. I mean, I'm not saying that for 20 days markets have been going up, but for last 20 days, average price is this, which is 4477, 44. If I give you exact price, it is 4487. 4487 is a decent enough correction from where we were, which is at 4600. From 4600 to coming to 4490, 4500 is not a bad idea. What happens this way? So basically, if you talk about psychology perspective, people who have been buying at the dips, they would try to sell at some point. Short-term traders will sell at maybe 5%, 3% gains. Long-term traders would sell at 10, 20% gains, depending upon how the market psychology is at that particular point of time. Where people would look at earnings, people would look at macroeconomic scenario. All this combined together, market psychology works this way, where it more or less comes back to these moving averages, whether 20, whether 50, whether 100 or 200 SMEs. It coincides with the earnings, it coincides with macroeconomic scenario, but in terms of the psychology, charts actually exactly explains what happens in that particular week, in that particular day, or in that particular period of month.
So we look at the chart from the back, right? You look at all the way to the left. Don't change the chart. Don't change the chart. You look at all the way from the left.
Right.
You look at the red. You look at the red line that goes all the way. That is the 20 SMA.
Yes.
Every time it has gone way above the 20 SMA. Let's look at August time frame, August 2022, just like that on the left hand side. And every time it has gone up way too much, comes right back. And every time it goes way too low, it comes right back. Again, it goes along with the line for most parts, touches it, comes back again, touches it, and go past it. So it seems like the mean reversion that you talked about is essentially the market wants to be in a steady state condition, but it never is that way because it's only too either fearful or too greedy. So when you go way above the line, it seems like you're getting to the greedy range, and you go way below the line, you're getting to the fear range.
Right.
And you want to get back to the normal range, which is in the middle, which is the 20-day SMA, I guess, in this case.
Absolutely. So this is how many standard deviation it is away from the mean. 1, 2, 3. When it goes beyond 2, chances are that it has to come back to the mean. If it goes beyond 3, very rarely does it go to the 3 standard deviations. Most likely or not, it will go to 1. It will trade between 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So if you want me to highlight what exactly those 1 standard deviation or 2 standard deviation, give me 1 second, I'll try to, unless our video gets too lengthy. Okay, so this is 2 standard deviation. So where exactly is 2 standard deviation? This blue line, upper end of the blue line and lower end of the blue line. The more it goes above towards the upper end, the higher the chances of it coming back to the mean. And hence, I mean, of course, this is actually 50 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, this is 50. Let me take it to 20. So yeah, it is closer to the 2 standard deviation above the mean. Hence, chances of it coming back to the mean are higher. Look at here. So it continuously was on the 2 standard deviation above the mean. It came back and tested the mean. Then again it rallied, came back and tested the mean. Again it rallied. It was there for 3-4 days. It has to come back and test the mean.
Yeah,
So
this one
this
looks
is
like
what
it's going to go from 4500s to the 4400s range anyway.
yes.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Let's go to the QQQ then.
Sure. Okay, let me again go back to the 4R. So this is 4R as well as, so there are 2 channels that are combining here. One is the red one, which is the daily channel, and this is green one, which is the 4R channel, not a daily channel. So the upper end of 4R channel as well as daily channel coincided, and hence what we saw. So we might want to call it as, Netflix gave us a Q, or maybe Tesla and Netflix together mid markets fall. But the signs were already there in terms of technically the way it was going for the last few days and weeks. It was already preparing itself to come down, or maybe at least give some kind of a correction. It on the 4R it was at the upper end of the channel. On the daily it was upper end of the channel, and not just the channels. If you look at what those candles were, what is this upper candle? This is actually gravestone doji. The upper end of the daily candle. What was it? It was a gravestone doji, which is a bearish. The next day it was a full red candle followed given by Netflix and Tesla. So the signs were already in place for people to start preparing themselves for, there is something which is going to come up. And then, of course, if you look at the 20 SMA, it was sharpened, and it was the gap between the 20 and 50 MA was any which way quite higher. So we had to be prepared mentally that, hey, there are certain signs which are telling us, be prepared that this rally is probably, going to pause for a while. Apart from that, apart from this big red candle, Friday's close was inverted hammer. Again, bearish sign. So this rally, this particular downtick which is coming up, probably it is not going to stop just at 20 SMA, or maybe stops and pauses at 20 SMA, and then the 400 MA is lower end of the channel, and then pauses, rallies again, and then probably gives back to the 50 SMA. This is assumption. Whether market does this or not is again market's own whims and fancies. The way market wants to behave, it will behave. But this is what we would actually try to assume based on how markets have been behaving for last many years and last many weeks and months. So I assume that, first test would be 20 SMA, then lower end of the channel, rally from somewhere around there, and then again come back and give up gains to 50 SMA. This is my assumption.
This is for the Nasdaq.
Nasdaq, yes, which is QQQ.
Okay, and how are we doing on the Russell 2000?
Before Russell, I would like to actually, take you to industrial stocks as well, which is Dow Jones. And there is a reason why I'm talking about this. We haven't spoken about this ever earlier. Let me tell you why am I talking about this. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, the Dow seems to be rallying, even though Nasdaq is down.
Absolutely. So this chart I have been always sharing on my blog. So there are 2-3 things which are happening together here. While on the 4R chart it looks a little bearish, which means chances are that it would come back at least up to the lower end of this particular rising wedge on the 4R. But on the daily, it's absolutely bullish. Though some indecisiveness in terms of this particular candle, which is actually a doji. On Friday, it has closed at doji. If you look at this particular candle, it's a doji candle, which is indecisiveness. Why is it indecisive? Because the way ES and NQ have been behaving. Having said that, it has actually broken out of a ascending triangle. Apart from this inverted head and shoulder, which has already broken out quite some time back, it has also broken out of the ascending triangle. Let me just where is that line which I had? Not this, not this. Yeah.
So it's inverted head and shoulders.
Inverted head and shoulder, which already broken out. Actually, it was somewhere here when it broke out. They back tested and again back and rallied. So inverted head and shoulders have already broken out. This is actually ascending triangle, which is now which has already broken out sometime last week, which is Wednesday or Tuesday. So this was Tuesday when it broke out. Wednesday again rallied, Thursday again rallied, Friday again it was still for major part of the day on Friday. Dow Jones was in green while Nasdaq and ES were crashing big time. So I would say any pullback on industrial stocks is an opportunity for people to buy. ETF for this to track is DIA. Similar chart. I did not, draw any trend lines here, but it's a similar chart, very similar. So if somebody wants to, participate in this rally, I would say participate in DIA.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And then IWM.
Yep. So I normally track it by RTY.
Yeah.
I did not.
The Russell 2000 index. This is the Russell. The RTY is the Russell 2000 futures, right?
Yep. Here you go. Okay, 4 hours. I would say it's bullish, although it has already tested 4-hour 20 and 50 SMA. But in terms of the
Testing
daily,
20, 50 SMA, right? It's tested the 20 SMA already.
Yeah, already crashed below 20 SMA on the 4-hour chart, and now it is on the 50 SMA on the 4-hour chart. On the daily, apart from the back test of this particular breakout, so this was a triangle which broke out last week. And now apart from this, so there is one thing which I actually which has been hidden here. Unfortunately, it was hidden in my 5M chart as well because of the background. Let me just change the background for a while. Give me 1 second. YM, even features. Before I go back to there, I need to show this. There is one risk here, which is a double top.
Yeah.
So you see a double top here on Dow Jones as well as Russell 2000. So this double top,
daily,
or rather,
right?
actually, it's a triple top.
Double top on the daily.
Not double top. I'm sorry.
It's a double top on the daily.
Yeah, on the daily. Yeah, on Russell as well as on Dow Jones. So this is a little, little concern for the bulls. But normally, there is one more thing which I would like to talk about, that why am I still bullish even if it is, giving me a double top on the daily. Weekly chart is not bearish at all. In terms of Russell, in terms of Dow Jones as well, weekly chart is not bearish. Although it has given up some gains, chances are it will give us some gains and again rally back again. So I would say this bearishness is there for the short term, but not for the long term. Definitely not. So intermediate term, maybe for the next week or so, there will be some give up of gains. But in terms of, for the next week or next to next week, I would say this rally has some more legs. Testing of 20 SMA, or maybe back testing the breakout point of say around 1945 and then maybe around 1920 kind of level is a normal thing for the market to, rally, then come back, and then rally again, and then come back. This is normal. So I would say even if it is double top, I am still not bearish, although bearish in the short term, not bearish for the longer term. So I would actually look for the buying opportunities in Dow Jones as well as in Russell 2000.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, let's just quickly go through earnings from last week.
I'm just stopping to sharing my screen so that you can share in case you want to.
Okay, so we had a lot of bank earnings last week. Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and Charles Schwab. Most of the earnings were fairly good. So if you look at it from a green perspective, except for Goldman Sachs EPS, revenue actually, except for Netflix and SAP, has all been very, very solid. Growth has been good, decent for most of these companies. Bank stocks actually are doing very, very strong as well. After earnings, Goldman went up a little bit, 1% or so. If you look at Bank of America, they were up 3% after hours after their earnings, 88 cents a share on estimates of 84 cents. The earnings that were really, really good that I thought would be a good play for the rest of the quarter is Charles Schwab. Beaten down stock. I think they had a lot of the bank crisis, issues sometime back. So 4.7 billion on 4.7 billion, but a 75% or 75 cents earnings per share was an expectation of 72. They went up quite a bit, 10% after hours. Consistently.
A huge uptick.
Sorry?
10% is a huge uptick, especially given the kind of markets it was.
Charles Schwab, that is a big move.
Yeah.
And of course, you saw the others. In terms of the major one theme last week and this week has been bank stocks doing very well. Earnings were good. The banking crisis that we saw seems to have been at least abated for this present moment.
Schwab was also, caught in some kind of, meddling in terms of this crisis that was going on last month. So many people have actually talked about Schwab as the next big banking stock which might
Silicon
go
Valley
down,
Bank,
but still
Silicon
it's
Valley Bank type of situation. Yeah,
yeah.
so that's not a big. The other big story last week is if you look at Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM, right here, and if you look at ASML, both semiconductor stocks, Tesla to a certain extent, but I don't think of them as a semiconductor company. Semiconductor is going through a cyclical downturn. So both ASML and Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM, were down pretty big, even though their earnings were good. And TSM is
Wasn't there some news on TSM I think Friday or Saturday, that they have said that their demand for chips has been very negative. I mean, they are expecting a negative downtick on the demand.
Yeah, the semiconductor industry overall is very, very cyclical, Manoj. So what we find is we had a ton of requests when, remember, about
Pandemic.
less than
After
a year
pandemic.
ago, everybody was jumping up and down that auto companies were not able to ship more
Yes,
cars because of the
right,
lack of chips.
right.
So now the industry went back up and provided all those chips, and now there's going to be a downturn. Still, the number one and number two in terms of chip utilization, in terms of the applications, tend to be computers and phones.
Right.
Computers and phones are down quite a bit, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's data center chipsets, except for NVIDIA. AMD is doing okay, but NVIDIA is doing very, very well for the AI chipsets. But that
Right.
growth in AI for Taiwan Semiconductor is not making up for the losses in phones. The number one customer of Taiwan Semiconductor is actually Apple,
Wow.
right? They are 23% of Taiwan Semiconductor's revenues, followed by Marvell. So if
Mm-hmm.
Apple is struggling a little bit in terms of phone shipments, Taiwan Semiconductor is going to take a hit. And same for ASML. If chip companies don't buy a lot of equipment, especially the lithograph that ASML provides, it becomes much harder. So overall, the story is semiconductor. I think this might be a good time to watch. Maybe in a quarter, they might actually turn around. Maybe sometimes it takes 2 quarters. So Micron, Taiwan Semiconductor, ASML, and I expect the same for all of the chip-related companies, whether it's Applied Materials, whether it is KLA, Tencor, Cadence Design Systems, which is reporting next week. A lot of these guys are going to struggle a little bit for a few more, at least months, if not otherwise. The other big story was Netflix. They increased the number of users. So they did a lot of, as most people have been seeing or they've been hearing,
For the password sharing thing.
they've done a
Right.
password tightening, right?
Right.
So the number of users actually went up pretty significantly by about 8 million, and they dropped their $9.99 plan in favor of a $6.99 plan with ads, which is more profitable for them than the $15.99 plan, which is all paid without ads.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to do the password crackdown even in India, which is big, which is
Which is big.
really big, right? India
Is a big market.
is the number one company, the number one country in terms of
Yeah.
password sharing overall. So
Right.
that will be interesting to watch next quarter. Down 10% after earnings, but a very good stock to keep track of, because the other big challenge for them is the union strike that is going on with writers and actors. So
Mm-hmm.
until the end of
Yeah.
this year, nobody's expecting new shows to come on board until that gets
Yes.
resolved, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think Netflix is going to do anything dramatic, but might be a good stock to watch overall.
Absolutely.
Let's quickly change gears for next week. Lots of companies, interesting companies reporting next week. The big ones are obviously Google and Microsoft, but the other ones that are interesting, Snap has been trending a little bit up. I think might be an interesting stock to watch. Roku is always a bellwether for video ads. Spotify and Meta. So Meta, Google, Microsoft are the three big ones, and a few others like PayPal and ServiceNow, First Solar, Twilio, and Pinterest. So a lot of companies reporting next week. So next week is a big week for earnings, starting tomorrow, for us to be able to watch. The ones that I'm watching closely are Google, Meta, and Microsoft. I have a few others as well that I'm watching, but not as closely because I don't have big positions in them. So that's the earnings for next week in terms of what's to be expected. The two interesting stocks that I think would be good to watch next week. IWM, we already talked about it before, but I want to talk about Palo Alto Networks. Very strong earnings last quarter.
Let me bring it on the
Interesting
screen.
company, how they're growing, but I'm very curious as to where they might go from here, given that cybersecurity overall has been taking a breather. CrowdStrike took a breather, Sentinel-1 took a breather. A lot of these companies have taken a breather.
So here is your Palo Alto networks. Definitely not bullish. And given that it has already broken down of the 20 SMA, back tested, and then now again going down. So all the way it is going definitely and testing somewhere around 50 SMA, which is 230 to somewhere around 235. So this is the previous high. And this is where exactly the 50 SMA, which is 227. The price on Friday was 243. So somewhere around 230, 235 is where it should try to rally again. If it makes a
10%,
lower low,
10% lower from here.
yes. So if it makes, it won't be a 10%, but maybe around 7-8%. So it makes a lower low lower than the previous low, which was, I don't know why it was a big downtick that day, maybe in an earnings or something else. Definitely not earnings. Earnings are actually next, live quite later. So whatever reason it was low last week, but chances are it would actually make a lower low. If it does make a lower low, that's a second signal for bulls to be worried about, and first signal for bears to start, jumping guns. In fact, if the stock is going further down. Third signal and the final signal would be if it breaks down below this channel. Chances are that it would give a bounce from the channel if it breaks below 50 SMA. After 50, it would go towards the lower end of the channel, which is very likely. But beyond that, I don't think it would easily break down unless and until market does something else on its radar. So on the weekly, there is no such signal which tells me that the stock wants to go below this channel. So chances are it would keep rallying in this channel for a time being, unless there is something bigger happening in the overall market. So as of now, 50 SMA, which is around 230 to 28, and then probably if it breaks down to 50 SMA, then it goes towards the lower end of the channel as well.
Yeah, I actually plan to buy some short-term puts, monthly puts on
You
it.
have already bought, or you're planning to?
Yeah, I was hoping for 10%, but it's been 10% since the top. Yeah, I'm not bearish on Palo Alto. I like it, but I think it is stretched quite a bit. So
Yes, strategically, it makes sense to buy some puts and make some money.
Awesome. Thank you, Manoj. This was
Thank you.
terrific. This was very good. I heard you met my son in
Yes, I met
Dallas,
him
right?
at
You
I
went with
met
the
him at
family.
Grand Prairie Stadium. He's doing good. He's taking care of social media handle of Mumbai, New York team, and it was nice meeting him in person.
Yeah,
Very
he also plays for the Seattle minor league team. He's hoping that
that's
he can
nice.
graduate from minor league to major league. This was the Seattle team that is playing right now. But yeah, he was happy to see you guys. But he didn't see your son, right?
No, he couldn't meet him because he was actually out with his team and doing something with his team. So I don't know. But by the time he came, your son had already gone. So maybe next time.
Awesome, Manoj. Talk to you next
All right.
week.
Talk
Bye.
to you next time. Bye bye. Take care.